Hello, my stamping friends. My name is Holly Peterson, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. And today I'm going to be using the sunflower embossing folder and making this beautiful card. I have the supplies that we need. This technique is really popular with this stamp set because it gives such a wow finished card. So we're going to start with Secret C, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. Crushed curry, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. 2 pieces of basic white, 4 by 5 1/4. And I was going to emboss one of these before the video, but I forgot, so I'll do that real quick. And then we have a basic white 1 by 4, and that's going to be embossed as well. And then we have a Secret C 3/4 of an inch by 3 inches, and that is cut using the Stylish Shapes dies, and it's this long skinny banner. So I already heat embossed that with white. Let me go real quick and emboss these. This is a 3D embossing folder, so it makes a nice deep embossed image. And we are actually going to use the debossed. So the petals of the flowers are going down instead of raised up. For both of these, we're going to use the debossed side. We'll go ahead and start with that. And you'll definitely want a scrap piece of paper, and do this at your own risk. I've noticed that I did this for a class, and I noticed that the edge of my stamp pad is kind of getting a little bit worn there. So obviously do this at your own risk with your stamp pad. You want to use the end that has the least amount of plastic. So I'm going to, and you want to do this really, really light, a very, very light touch. So I'm going to not lay it flat, but bring it up just at a little bit of an angle and drag it over your paper. Like that. We're going to actually use 2 colors on this today, so I'm going to drag that. And see there, I got a little bit darker, which is fine. That was Secret C. And now we're going to drag with the paper the other way using pecan pie. And again, I can see some wear on my pecan pie here. So do it at your own risk. You could also use the brayer. I haven't tried that yet, but you could use the brayer instead of dragging the ink pad over your paper. So this one we're going to just drag this way. Set that aside. And then we'll drag going the other way on the larger piece. Okay. I might want my background a little bit darker. You can see in my sample, my background is pretty dark. I'm going to go back over with my Secret C. Okay, I like that. Okay, I think that's good. Then to color them, I'll show you some other samples I did. This one I colored, this one is just drug with Secret C, and I colored with the Stampin' Blends markers on this one. This one I drug it with Crumb Cake and Early Espresso, and then the petals I use Sponge Daubers with Highland Heather and Crushed Curry, and the centers are Crumb Cake. That's when I tied some of that mesh ribbon around. And then using one of the other embossing folders, I did just the holly. This is a hybrid embossing folder. I just used the embossing folder, and I drug it with Mossy Meadow, and then colored the holly in with Old Olive Stampin' Blends. But there's that one as well. Okay, so now we're going to color these, and like I said, we're going to use Sponge Daubers. I'm going to start with Crushed Curry. And this is a really fast way to color the flowers. Using the blends took quite a bit longer. And this way is pretty quick. I did this in one of my classes and made it a little bit faster for everybody to get done. Okay, I think I like that there. We'll do this big piece real quick. And I like to start in the center and pull the ink out. And you can tell I'm not being overly careful. The outcome is beautiful, even if you're not super, super careful. Since my background is lighter on this one, I think I'm going to keep my flowers a little bit lighter than on my sample card. And you'll find that each one you do will turn out totally different each time. I think this is a petal. And maybe this over here. Okay. Then we're going to switch to Mossy Meadow and do the leaves. Again, I like to start at the bottom of the leaf and pull the ink out. Okay. And then for the inside, I'm going to use Crumb Cake. And then a little Early Espresso. Doesn't look like I have my Early Espresso pad right here, so let me go get that. Well, maybe, oh, here it is. And for my daubers, I do have one color, one dauber for each color. And as you can see, I didn't even re-ink. I didn't even need my ink pad. This had enough ink on it to go ahead and finish those. So that is all we're going to color. Now we just need to assemble the card. Take this out for a minute. So this piece is going to go onto the inside of the card. And I just put it down here at the bottom. And I didn't stamp a sentiment on the inside, but you certainly could. Now this big layer is going to go onto the crushed curry. Just hold that down for a minute. And then this goes onto the card base. And we'll put our Just Because on with, I'm going to use some black dimensionals. Oh, on this one, I put it on the edge of the crushed curry. We could put it to the edge of the card and trim it. Or we could just leave it a whole banner. I think I'll put it to the edge of the card and trim it. If you wanted it even with the crushed curry, if you remember, it's easier to do it before you adhere that to the card base. And then you always want to cut from the back. So I'll just snip that off. Okay, we are almost done. Oh, let's put this on the inside. We will add a few embellishments. These are the 2025-2027 in color flat pearls. And I've been using the Secret Sea. Since the background is so light, I think I'm going to use cloud cover on this one. I'm going to take your pick tool and just push it from the side. We'll put that one over there. And then we'll do a medium one. There. And then the small one maybe up there. Okay. And then on the envelope, oh, this Just Because grading, it was on last chance. I'm not sure if it's sold out or not, but it's this Fancy Borders, and it's this little Just Because. And then I wanted something for my envelope, so I'm using the Darling Dinos in this little sunflower here. And it looks like I stamped those in Early Espresso. And I just stamped 3 across the bottom here. And then I used my blend. I'm going to stick this scratch piece of paper in here so that the alcohol markers don't bleed through my envelope. And I'm going to use crumb cake for the center of the flowers. And that was dark crumb cake. I'm using light Darling Duckling for the flowers. We don't have a crushed curry, so I used Darling Duckling for the envelope. You could do a little shading on this if you wanted to. The petals are really small, so I opted to just do one color for each section of the flower. Okay, that was light Darling Duckling, and then this is light Mossy Meadow that we'll do for the leaves. So this is a fairly quick technique to do for cards, especially using the daubers and sponging the ink on. Don't forget to take your scratch piece of paper out of your envelope. And mine is a sticky note, so take that out. And there we have a really cute, fun card. Here's the other ones, the one with the holly folder, and then the purple, and then colored with the markers. Thanks for stopping by and watching my video. I greatly appreciate it. If you've liked what you've seen, if you could give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, that would help me out a lot. Thanks so much.